Hey everybody, it's Professor Smith here. Hope everybody's doing well, and I hope that you are all chugging along through this second paper and your journals nicely. We are a little bit more than halfway done with the time in which we have with this project, so we really do need to begin writing. And I know there's some of you who are saying, well, I don't know what to write, I can't write, this stinks. You start writing and it just stinks, so you stop. So this is why I cannot stress to you enough the importance of writing a first draft. I'm going to suggest that you read a very short, very friendly, very personable article titled Shitty First Drafts. Sorry, I don't mean to be cursing, but that is the name of the article. Because it's kind of not the smartest idea to call a first draft, or at least to think of it the way that we think of it. I would imagine that there are a few of us, myself included, who have submitted papers where you only wrote one draft, or you wrote one main draft and then you went back and you revised it slightly and mostly just edited it for commas and grammar and spelling and word choice and punctuation and formatting and things along those lines. Most of us have probably done that before, but how many of us have spent the time doing 3 drafts, 4 drafts? That's what is really necessary in which to have a decent, good, great research paper. You need to spend that time and you need to get through one of the most important parts, writing a, as Anne Lamott says, shitty first draft. A draft that nobody's going to be reading except for yourself. A draft that is meant to get as many of your ideas down on paper as you can possibly get down on paper. I mean, think about it this way. The idea is you get your ideas out, you take a step away for an hour, 2 hours, a day, 2 days, maybe even 3 or 4 days, and then you come back and you reread and you think about what you wrote, why you wrote it, and what you're supposed to be doing. Having this fresh perspective on what you were thinking about the other day allows you to take that initial piece and then revise it greatly. Cut out huge chunks, add big chunks to give you something that's going to be a lot more solid for your second draft. Hopefully from there you might only then need another draft to get you to what could be your final draft as a third draft, but that first draft is not meant to be good. It's meant to get you thinking, it's meant to get your ideas down, it's meant to start getting some structure and organization. I mean, if you don't write a first draft, you have pretty much 2 other options. Option 1, do an outline. We've been talking a little bit about outlines. I gave you some resources for outlines. Excuse me. I even tried to bring a few videos on outlining. So you can try to outline, but for a lot of us, myself included, writing an outline as the first thing is really hard because I haven't really thought through my ideas. And one of the best ways to think through your ideas is to write that first draft. So write the first draft, write an outline when you don't really have your thoughts all mapped out, or just start writing and consider it your first draft. Wait. Yeah, no, so you would just start writing and let that be your one and only draft. Write a crappy draft, know that you're going to change it, make a lot of changes after the fact, try an outline first, or just write one and then submit it. Chances are, if you just write that one draft, your paper's not going to make a lot of sense, especially if you're writing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages. Well, and we're doing 8 to 10 for this. I mean, think about it for a second. Have any of you ever experienced this before? You write something, you come back a day later, you read it, and you're thinking to yourself, what was I writing? What does this mean? And you don't really have a clue. What you're supposed to try and do is decipher what you were writing, try and get back into that same mindset of why you were writing, and think about what's good, what's bad. in a crappy first draft, in a child's first draft, as Anne Lamott also calls it, think about writing as much as you possibly can. If this is 8 to 10 pages, then you should be closer to that 10-page mark, maybe even going over slightly at 11, 12 pages, because you're just trying to write your ideas down. You're not trying to write this final draft, you're not trying to write something to submit, you're just trying to get your ideas down so that when you reread it, you can think about why you wrote what you wrote, what's a good idea, start arguing to yourself, hey, this might be a good idea, this is a bad idea, I don't think I need to talk about this, I think I need to talk about this just a little bit more. You're not going to be able to have that foresight into your own writing and to your own ideas until you get through this first draft, the crummy draft. So I want to switch over to that article for a second just to show you what it is, how short it is, and how I think it's a really good thing for you to read. So I'm going to be posting this along with this video, so there'll be the PDF that goes along with it. It's really short. I mean, this is just an intro on Anne Lamott, and then it's pretty much like 6 paragraphs, something along those lines. I think she gives a really nice perspective. Most of us have never read student writing before. So we might have done some peer reviewing. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do that this semester. I don't know about last semester, and I'm not sure about high school. I know I personally didn't get a lot of peer reviewing in high school, but the things that we read, for instance, this article, it's been edited and then sent out to an editor and then sent back and then probably edited once or twice more before published. And that's the same case whether we're reading academic work or novels. Even if we're reading the newspaper, there's editors and editing and planning that goes on. So by the time we get something, it's really polished. And that's not what a first draft looks like. It's not what our first drafts look like. And it's not even what professionals' first drafts look like. If you were to look at the first draft of Stephen King's It, or the first draft of the Harry Potter books, or even the first drafts of the academic articles that you've been able to find, they're not going to look nearly as polished. They're not going to make nearly as much sense or have a logical structure as the final draft. And what we're looking for in good writing is to be able to see that clear distinction between draft 1 and 2, between draft 2 and 3, and then between any subsequent drafts. Like, hopefully for this project, by the time you look at this first draft and the final project, that you'll be able to objectively say to yourself, wow, this final draft is much better. Hopefully that will be the case. So she does bring up a few of these points about our perception of writing, but I think it's a really good motivational piece for those of us who are scared, for those of us who are nervous, anxious, for those of us who think we have nothing to say at first. I think this is a really good motivational piece to light that fire, to spark you to sit down and say, okay, let's get this done. Because I promise you, the longer you wait to do this, the worse off everything's going to be. And that includes your paper and your mental and your physical health. The amount of work necessary in order to get this done, even if you were to just try and get through it as quickly as you possibly can, still is going to require quite a lot of work and quite a lot of energy. And we could avoid this by doing a little bit this week, a little bit next week, a little bit the week after, and so on before we have to put that final push in. And this is what I'm hoping that the journal entries have done for us, that we've done a little bit more, and we'll have another journal entry tomorrow. So I'll have a video on that, and I'll have a entry on that, and we'll begin to work on the next phases of this. So hope you're all doing well. I hope that this project is coming along nicely. If you do have any questions, if you do have any issues, and a few of you have contacted me, and I appreciate that, because It's really weird not being in the classroom, being able to just see you right now as I talk, and having you be able to raise your hands and us have a conversation. So if you want to work via email, if you want to do a video chat, if you want to do a call, let me know. I'm here. We got a few more weeks of this semester, so let's really just let's get it done. All right. Talk to you soon, everybody. Thanks. Bye.